Should you back Last of Us Escape the Dark? Yes, absolutely yes. But before I tell you why, my name is Sam, this is Should You Back It, and I'm here to help you crowdfund with confidence. The Last of Us Escape the Dark is the latest entry in Themeborne's Escape the Dark series, which is known for its atmospheric, moody and dark settings, paired with equally atmospheric and challenging narrative choose-your-own-adventure style gameplay. The Last of Us Escape the Dark seems to be continuing that legacy and will offer solo and co-op multiplayer modes, allowing up to 5 players to play as a group of survivors as they weave their own story of survival as they explore an open world map, travelling from a forsaken quarantine zone to an alleged safe haven in Jackson. But before we talk more about gameplay, let's do a risk assessment on the company behind this game. Whenever we do back something on Kickstarter, or any crowdfunding platform for that matter, it's always important to do some research on the company behind it, to see how their past projects went, see how they handled everything, and just to get a sense of what our experience could be if we were a backer. Last of Us Escape the Dark is being made by Themeborne Games. This is the 6th game they've brought to Kickstarter, and all but one have been delivered and been received incredibly well. The one that hasn't is a game whose campaign was cancelled, so we're not really counting that. I have personal experience of Themeborne Games as someone who has backed one of their Kickstarters in the past. I have both Escape the Dark Castle and Escape the Dark Sector, and I love them. And I feel that their communication throughout the crowdfunding process was really strong. And so I feel I could say with some certainty that Themeborne gets a thumbs up from me regarding a risk assessment point of view. Gameplay in Last of Us should be incredibly familiar, with some slight changes for anyone who has played any of the other games in the Escape the Dark series. If you're new to it though, it's incredibly simple to understand. Setup usually takes less than 5 minutes, and a play session will last about an hour. If you survive long enough. I've had games of Escape the Dark Castle end in less than 5 minutes. To start, you'll create an adventure deck by shuffling the chapter cards, and there are usually quite a few of them that come with the game in order to add a variety to each playthrough. And you'll then shuffle camp and stashed item cards, and these will go to their respective places on the game board. Now there are 4 locations on the game board, including downtown, sewers, etc. And each in-game day, players can either travel to a location or take an action, which is explore or camp. Explore means you turn and resolve a chapter card at your current location. Camp differs at each location, and with each day that passes, the threat of infected spreading increases, and when that happens, threat tokens are added to the map. These can cause routes of travel to become blocked, it can lead to locations being overrun, or survivors getting trapped and forced into combat in order to break away. This adds an added layer of complexity, or maybe intrigue is the word, as players can split up and go to different locations, as opposed to previous games in the series where everyone stayed together as a group. Having threat that can block off locations will no doubt lead to some interesting and likely devastating choices having to be made during gameplay. Combat is handled through dice rolls through a really simple yet fun system, which they do a great job of detailing over on the Kickstarter page. But really what you want to know is why I think you should back this. For me, I'm a fan of the Escape the Dark games. Like I said, I have both, and this is one that I'm more than happy to add to that collection because I know it'll see the table, and see the table often. The Escape the Dark games are actually great games to play with people who don't usually play board games because they're incredibly social. There's a ton of chat and discussion between you and the other players, as you all have to work together every step of the way in order to progress. Not only that, but they're incredibly simple to teach, and they don't take long to play, partly due to the nature that they're pretty tough and you usually die more than you'll win. I think I've won an Escape the Dark Castle game maybe about a handful of times. The core pledge is £65, over twice as much as the standard Escape the Dark games, which is a jump, but I get it. This is a popular IP which is not only based on a popular and beloved video game, but equally soon to be an upcoming HBO show. It looks like this is an evolution of the gameplay I'm used to, and I'm okay pledging that amount for a company who have proven to me in the past that they're deserving of my pledge. They do have a collector's edition for £99, which, as much as I love minis, I don't think I could justify going that high for the improved components, but if you are a fan of luxury components, that option is there. But as always, this is my recommendation. Hopefully you feel a little bit more informed. If you found it helpful, I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button. I'm a new channel and your support really does help.